I'm Faith Lydon and I'll be performing a piece in the play Boys by Ella Hickson. I'll be playing the character of Sophie. Sometimes I think it's because what we have is love. Meant to be. That we love each other, yes, Mac, that is what I sometimes think. Is that ridiculous? Because sometimes I think that love is so important. So important. Because it's like bigger or equal to what he did, right? Because they're just two emotions. One is love, the other is despair, and they both have an action. And those actions are different, but somehow they're equal. Or does that make me a monster? Because the thing is, Mac, I sat at his funeral looking at his parents and Benny, but all I could think of, all I could feel was you. But then I look at you and I wonder if it's actually there. If I added up all the minutes, hours, fucking days I spent thinking of you, the amount of fucking longing I've done, if I added that up and weighed it against anything you've ever actually said to me. But then you do the smallest thing. Like you make me a cup of tea when I don't ask, or you touch my hand really lightly in a room full of people, and I think, no, Sophie, don't laugh. Don't laugh because it's real. And it's so much more real because it's unsaid and unspoken, and it's so much more real because I can't touch it. Because we can't say it, and I can't see it. And it's so much more real because I don't know if it's there. Please just say something. Please. For my second monologue, I'll be performing a piece in King Lear by William Shakespeare. I'll be playing the character of Goneril. By day and night he wrongs me. Every hour he flashes into one gross crime or other that sets us all at odds. I'll not endure it. His nights grow riotous, and he himself upbraids us on every trifle. When he comes back from hunting, I will not speak with him. Say I'm sick. If you come slack of former services, you shall do well. The fault of it I'll answer. Put on what weary negligence you please, you and your fellow servants. I'll have it come to question. If you distaste it, let him to our sister, whose mind and mine I know in that are one not to be overruled. Idle man, that still would manage those authorities that he hath given away. Now by my life, old fools are babes again, and must be used with checks as flatteries when they are seen abused. Remember what I have said, and let his knights have colder looks among you. What grows of it no matter. Advise your fellows so. I would breed from hence occasions, and I shall, so that I may speak. I write straight to my sister to hold my very course. Go, prepare for dinner. So my moment from a film that really impacted me was from the film Call Me By Your Name by Luca Guadagnino. It's actually originally from a book by Andre Ackman, which I also read and really, really enjoyed. And it is a gay coming-of-age romantic love story between Elio and Oliver. And Elio is played by Timothy Chalamet, and Oliver is played by Armie Hammer. And it's the summer of 1980, set in Italy, and the premise of the whole film is that Oliver is coming to stay with Elio because Elio's father is his kind of lecturer or something along those lines, and Oliver is his PhD student and he's coming to stay with him. He always chooses the exceptional students every year to come and stay, and this year it's Oliver. And as I said, the film is set in 1980s Italy, and one of the reasons why I love the film is because it's so beautifully shot. You just get these endless scenes of an Italian summer that is just stunning, and the characters actually never really seem to be doing anything, but this creates kind of these amazing moments of tension between Elio and Oliver when they just give each other the slightest glance or look or movement, or any movement towards each other, which I think gives a lot of poignance to the whole film. And kind of that's what I love about the film, really, is that it's just so incredibly naturalistic. You constantly feel like a fly on the wall, looking at these characters and watching their lives unfold. I think it's interesting the director kind of never really pushes a narrative onto you or never tries to create too much drama, which a lot of other films, I think that's quite a trope of films sometimes. Whereas he kind of just lets this summer play out in front of your eyes, and actually the naturalism and the effortlessness of that is engaging in itself. So the moment that really impacted me, sorry I just went on a bit of a tangent, is actually the end scene of the film. And it's when it's in the winter of that year, and Elio has been wronged by Oliver, and Oliver's telling him he's getting married. And Elio goes and sits by the fireplace, and there's a camera placed in the fireplace. And basically it's a 5-minute end scene, and Elio sits there and he just takes in the news of what Oliver's just told him, and the whole scene is overscored by this gorgeous track by Sufjan Stevens, Visions of Gideon. It's so emotional and definitely makes it more of an emotional scene when I was watching it. And it's a scene that has no dialogue. He's just simply sitting there and absorbing what he's just heard. And he's silently crying the whole time, but so many kind of tiny emotions across his face, kind of anger and pain and hurt, and you can see him processing everything that he's just heard and kind of remembering the summer that he's just had. And it's just such an intimate and accurate portrayal, I think, of how we get emotional and how we understand things. It's just such a naturalistic moment. And I think something that actually adds to that is the composition of the shot, because, as I said, it's placed in the fireplace, so no other human in his world, no one else in the world is seeing that apart from us, the audience behind this camera. No one else is seeing that emotion or him being that upset, which I think is also very indicative of real life. I think that really when we're at our most upset, those are very intimate and personal moments, and they're not always very dramatic. They're in fact quite insular and withdrawn, and we're not always just crying our eyes out. In fact, we're often sitting there staring at something and processing what's happened. And another thing about the shot is the fact that he's obviously facing the camera, and in the background, normal life is continuing behind him. Like, his parents are setting the table, they're getting ready for dinner. And I think, that's so true of real life as well. When we're upset, when something very hard happens in our lives, normal life will carry on despite of that. Things don't stop for your own personal pain. And I think that that's something else that this moment really depicts so well. And actually at the end of the 5 minutes, his mum says, "Elio," because, dinner's ready, and he kind of just turns away, and that's it. And I just think the whole scene is so well done, and the film, and it's so incredibly heartbreaking because of its truthfulness and how much you can see from him from just his expressions. And I actually originally watched this on a plane, and I remember watching it, and the whole holiday I could not stop thinking about what I'd seen and how much it had moved me, actually. And it just, and it made me really think about how much I can do, or how much anyone can do with their acting without actually saying anything. So yes, that's my favourite moment.